In the last solo episode, we looked at 3 ways you can brainstorm what your big dreams and goals might be. How can you look at strengths, passions, and even jealousy to decide on the direction that you just might want to take? In the near future, we'll be figuring out one thing you can focus on, but throughout the process, being able to stay in the moment is the most important part. And so today, we'll summarize the approach of using the power of now to stay locked into the process and living with vitality no matter what your goal is. The question is, how can we live in peace and still win the dreams that we want in the future? We've already established that there is a counterintuitive approach to any success. The trick is being able to set a vision for the future, but then only focus on the present moment. We talked about one approach already in episode 45, what is mindfulness and how can you get started, where we shared 20 activities to feel more in tune with your internal world. Well, today we are specifically looking at the concept of appreciating the power of now. We want to make a gradual shift toward the mindset of always living in the moment. If you ask anyone who has chased a big, audacious goal, they'll say it was not easy. And this is true. Hard things are hard and big goals are no exception. But they can be easier. If we live with mindfulness in the moment, they can be a lot easier. I love this insight from Eckhart Tolle. If you get the inside stuff right, the outside stuff will always fall into place. It starts by asking yourself, what's going on inside me? And am I at ease in this very instant? If not, then you are either remembering something unhelpful from the past or projecting something that may or may not end up existing in the future. Do I feel tension or unease? If so, then much like grabbing a hot potato, I should probably toss it. If I grab a hot coal and my hand is burning, I should drop it. Hanging on to these things would be like learning of an allergy and purposefully going and getting a bee sting or eating foods that you can't eat because it's your right to suffer. It's just not necessary for us to choose this suffering. And speaking of counterintuitive ideas, the most simple summary of living in the moment is actually to stop thinking. We are all really good at thinking. There's no lack of the ability to think. Some of us are a little bit too good at thinking. Society today is requiring more and more and more creativity as work and chores that are not creative become commodities and get outsourced or automated. And the only way for us to be creative is to be conscious but without thought, to build from a place of no mind. Eckhart Tolle, who built the entire category of the power of now and has sold 10 million copies of his book, says the reason why the majority of scientists are not creative is not that they don't know how to think, but that they don't know how to stop thinking. So this then begs the question, what is life for? The existential angst. If life is not about suffering and it's not about thinking, then what is it about? A classic question that really has no answer. And I get it. This is a question that may seem a bit silly or too philosophical. The answer is different for everyone and it changes. So then why should we even ask it? The reason why it's a great thing to ask is because the pursuit of great questions, just thinking of the answers, can be incredibly powerful themselves. And part of the answer is that humans own the gift of enlightenment, which means rising above thought. If we are not enlightened, we live addicted to our thoughts, and we operate like any animal just going through the motions of life. But living an enlightened life, we can use our minds like any tool, such as a drill or a saw. When we need it, we use it, and otherwise we let it rest and recharge, put it on the shelf when we don't need it. Much like tools, we can use our minds to still think, but in a much more focused and effective way if we understand the power of now. The Power of Now is a book that teaches us to focus on the present moment instead of worrying about the past or future. And author Eckhart Tolle explains that we often get caught up in our thoughts and emotions which can make us unhappy and stressed. He teaches that we can find peace and happiness by paying attention to our breath, our body, our surroundings, and by accepting what is happening in the present moment without judgment, never worrying about things that have existed or might exist in the future. This can help us release our worry and connect with a deeper sense of joy and inner peace. So how do we do this, though? The book is really long, and as amazing as it is, it goes in great depth, but I want to summarize it for you. So here are 5 key points from The Power of Now that help us live in the moment. 1. Be aware of your thoughts. Notice when your mind is wandering to the past or future and gently bring your attention back to the precise, specific moment. 2. Focus on your breath. Do some quick breath work and focus on the sensation of air moving in and out of your body to feel more grounded. 3. Pay attention to your senses. Notice the things that you can see, hear, taste, feel, and smell around you to stay engaged with that scene. 4. Accept what is. Instead of resisting or judging the current situation, accept it as a circumstance, not a stressor. And 5. Let go of the past and future. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes, waiting for something to happen, or worrying about the future, try to focus only on what you can do right now. By practicing these tips, we can learn to live more fully in the present moment. And if we learn to live in the moment, then we can set incredibly massive goals. We can really, truly shoot for the moon because we understand that the actual value in life comes from the exact moment anyways. The end goal, or even past celebrations, are all an illusion. Living with this power of now mindset will allow us to experience a far greater sense of vitality, peace, and fulfillment in life. JKL community, thank you so much for listening. As I always say, word of mouth helps so much. So if you know anyone that might appreciate learning, growth mindset, vulnerability, or interviews with people who have achieved big goals themselves and are great mentors, please do pass the show along. And if you have any questions or comments, just hit us up. I love hearing from you. Until the next episode, all the best. And remember, just keep learning.